to the bill. I always find it interesting when we're talked to on this side about how we don't seem to realize that there's pollution and there's families to be concerned about and things going on in our society. Just as a reminder, I know I've mentioned in past debates, I have a family. They're all here still, thankfully. Kids, grandkids. I already have grandkids here. I'm not worried about future grandkids. I already have them here. And I'm hoping that they have a very clean environment, clean drinking water, clean air, just as I hope the same for all of your families and your kids. So we share these common concerns. We don't disregard them. We don't think that, the world will just go on no matter what, but we have a different way of doing it. Leader Evans spoke tonight about being respectful about things, and that's great. I'd have to point out, though, I don't think that my district was taken into consideration, because I can assure you that there are 3 communities who have been treated with no respect whatsoever. I've talked about them in the Energy Committee, and I'll share it with the rest of you so you can understand what you're voting on tonight. It's 3 communities, Geneva, Batavia, and St. Charles. We know them as the Tri-Cities in our area. If you've never been out there, please come see it. It's a great area. You'll like it at least for the next 15 or so years. I'm not certain what will happen to them at that point. They've invested in the Prairie State plant. They bought into it a long time ago. It was about 15 or so years they made that decision. So it's not ancient history. This isn't ancient technology we're talking about. As other speakers have mentioned, Prairie State and the Springfield plant were built with cutting-edge technology at the time. So what we have are 3 communities who buy into a plant to provide basic services for their communities, which is electricity. They didn't bet on a sports arena hoping a team would come there. They didn't build a concert hall hoping to get various acts to come and finance things. They were trying to provide electricity to their residents at a reasonable rate in a very environmentally friendly way. And that was 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago, that this all started. And now here we are today, telling them 10 years later, well, I'm sorry, you have to shut down, and here's the date. And we all know, as we sit here today, we can talk about everything built in and the reduction and the money and what's going to happen, but we all know that the 20...
your time has expired. Representative Boss.
Thank you. We all know that 2038 is going to be the end date for this plant. So just so you know what this means for these 3 communities, one of them will fortunately have paid off their bonds at that time. One of those communities will have paid off their bonds and have 3 years of investment in which to reap the benefits of having invested in the Prairie State plant. Then they're going to lose it. As they put it to me today, that's the same as paying off your mortgage and 3 years later, someone coming in with a wrecking ball and saying, get out, we're taking down the house. And why? Not because you weren't trying to be a good citizen, not because you weren't trying to be, it's just because all of a sudden it's decided it's not good enough. 2 other communities of no more than less than 30,000 people each are going to be on the hook for about $30 million and $44 million more dollars respectively once that 2038 date hits and closes. Their people, their taxpayers, their citizens are going to have to make that up and go out and buy on the open market. And not because of any fault of their own, but because we've all decided that that power plant that they invested in, that really when it was built, they were told they were making a 60 to 70 year environmentally friendly investment, now has to come to an end. They're not even getting the benefits out of it. They can't even cover the costs. We talk about treating everyone fairly within this state. How is this fair to the people of my district? Would all of you be willing to vote to put that much debt on the people of your district? If you can answer yes, then please vote for this. But I can assure you, each and every one of you would answer no. You'd be up here screaming about people putting unnecessary debt on your citizens when they were trying to do the right thing not 10 years ago. It's not just my communities, though. This bill has a lot of costs. It has many laudable goals. There's a lot of things I'd like to do in it. One is keep nukes open. Two is fix the solar cliff. And if you'd heard anything about my amendment number 5, that's exactly what that bill would have done. We could have taken care of those tonight as we're under a deadline and not been held hostage to have to consider
Can you bring your
other
remarks
things.
to a close? Representative Freese.
And not consider everything else that is going to drive other job makers out of this state. So we may save some, but I strongly suspect we're going to lose some as well. You've heard tonight other states are trying to go green. They're having problems. We need to try and go green. We need to incentivize it within the state, but we can't dictate it solely because we say so in legislation. It doesn't always work that way. Please, vote no on this bill. Let's go back. We have time to get this done before those nuke plants are shut down, and we can do legislation which will advance clean energy in Illinois and yet not have to cause other communities to suffer. About $74 million between two communities that do not have 60,000 people between them. Think about that, please, for your own districts. Vote no.
Representative